So let's begin. Hello, adventurers, and welcome to the Zulu's D&D stream today, coming to you on Facebook and Twitch. So, for those of you who live in the state of Washington, things have changed a little bit. The number of people you can interact with and that sort of thing has had some restrictions put on it, largely because cases are up massively. Cases of the COVID. So I figure we're not here to discuss that. What we're here to discuss is solutions. We still want to be able to play D&D. We still want to be able to interact with each other, and especially going into these holiday seasons, the ability to remain connected with your fellow nerd is, I think, going to be a really important thing. So what we can do for you is help you do just that. We've been running D&D games online now, specifically for work, since
March.
I want to say. Yeah, somewhere in there. So we've gotten a pretty good sense of it. We've been doing it 5 to 7 times a week for the last 6 or so months, so we're feeling pretty confident. That being said, we do definitely understand that not everyone has the backing of an entire business behind them to help set up their infrastructure. So one of the things we're going to be addressing today is the different sort of tiers of amount of money that you'll have to put into the project to make it work. Running games online is not a free proposition, but we're going to do our darndest to make it as cheap as humanly possible to sort of help you. To wander you through that, we have a couple of people. My name is Rob. I work at Zulu's Board Game Café. I do some of our D&D sessions, and I'm joined today. I'm going to start to my side here. Jason, go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm Jason. I'm also work at Zulu's. I'm in the store and I run the D&D. I'm DM. I've been a DM for a long time, and I played through almost every edition of D&D. I've skipped one of them.
Which edition was it?
Fourth edition. I know.
It was four.
I read it, but I did not play it.
That's right.
I was playing other games.
Oh, yeah.
I wasn't giving up on role playing. I just was focusing on other things.
Yeah.
But yes, that's my.
And before we introduce our good buddy Alex, real quick question for you, Jason. Before the beginning of this year, had you done online role playing before?
It was very early, and we were using just Skyping because I had a friend in Hawaii who was still wanting to be a part of the campaign. And so we adapted and had a laptop at the end of in his seat, and he would roll dice on his end, and so it was very primitive, which is so the majority of the group was present, but one person was virtual. So.
And then below me on the stream we have Alex. Alex, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Alex. I also work at Zulu's Board Game Cafe. That's kind of what we're all gathered here for. And it's funny, I actually started playing a D&D during 4th edition, but that's because I started when I was a little younger, but anyway, and so then most of my experience has been playing before this year. Most of my experience has been as a player, but then I am now running games 7 times a week, multiple times a day sometimes. And so I'm loving it. It's super fun. It's super rad, especially online.
Do you run any sessions in person?
So far, not right now, but I
But
might
you have in the past?
I kind of did, just like one or two sessions.
So you
and then
see the majority of your
all
DMing experience has been digital.
Oh, quite certain. Yes, most of
This is going to be fascinating. I'm very, very excited for this. So as I mentioned before, running sessions online does have a slight amount of cost to it. However, there's a lot of sort of things that you can do to sort of get around it. Also, a lot of times, the thing that people really enjoy about playing things like Dungeons and Dragons and other online RPGs is that sort of interactiveness of people sort of in the real. And while I would love to do that, things that is making things a little bit more difficult. Also, Jason mentioned the geographic changes. I actually also have had did some online stuff years ago, back in, I want to say 08, which was fascinating. We ended up using a program called Uvu. I don't know if you've ever used that one, but back in the day, that was I think you had to like pay for Skype to have like multiple people, and so it was the only app that we knew of that you could have multiple cameras going simultaneously for multiple people, which now is very sort of commonplace. Apparently ahead of their time, because I don't think they're around still, and they were a mess to use, truthfully. Anyway, so I think we should start at the sort of the cheapest end and sort of move our way up. So these sort of, or actually, do we want to start in the middle with what we do it and then go in both directions? What do you think? How do you want to start this?
I think starting with like our setup for running online professionally.
That's fair.
As we do, is kind of a good starting point, and we're at higher price point because of that, and so we can kind of start up there. I mean, you can go way more expensive than what we're doing.
That's true.
Although we have some back end costs that the average player wouldn't be able to necessarily do.
Yeah.
And
so I'll be honest. I have bought all of the D&D books that come out for D&D Beyond. I buy them both physically and digitally. Not because I make loads and loads of money, but just because I like to have them both physically and digitally. We were actually talking about this before we started up, the difference between digital and paper. And I've gotten to the point now where I do both. I have physical character sheets because I love them. I have my books because I love them. But also, like, being able to look things up on D&D Beyond or other online resources is so much faster. Creating characters is very quick and easy. You can sort of keep them all cataloged. My encounters, I generally track using the encounter tracker on D&D Beyond. And I know we mentioned them a lot, but that's just, theirs is the most robust tool that we have access to right now. It has a lot of amazing features. We're not saying that that's what you should use. We're just saying that that's what we use, and so we're more comfortable with it. In the same way that Zoom is by no means the end-all, be-all of conference calling. It's just the one that we used because at the time that was the one that was being used by a lot of the
primary.
A lot of our clientele.
Primarily children between 8 and 14.
Yeah.
So we were definitely looking at ease of use, especially on the younger end, because and if they already knew how to use it, that was because we were debating a lot of stuff at that beginning, trying to figure out how we were going to do this. It was a lot of, that was interesting.
Well, actually, that might be a useful thing to do is talk about kind of the genesis of where we came from. One of the things I found very fascinating when we were very first getting started, I was excited about the idea of using Roll20. So Roll20.net is a site that has a digital grid. It has digital dice, digital character sheets. It actually even has video calling built into the program itself. It is a very robust app program, whatever you want to call it. And a lot of features are free on it, which is kind of amazing, but then you can obviously spend money to get more, which is a common thing. But one of the things we discovered with the awesome lighting effects is anyone can grab any of the icons and move them around. Anyone can draw on the map, and I'm sure there's ways to change up the settings, but also the sort of learning curve, the sort of what you need to know to use the app is definitely there's definitely a lot that you have to sort of learn to be able to use it. And ultimately we decided not to go with that.
Yeah, when we first were starting, I remember coming into this when they were COVID and everything, we're just figuring stuff out, and there was a tutorial on the Discord about how to run Roll20, and I was sitting in Zulu's learning Roll20, and I'm going, the whole time I was going, this is really cool, but I was going, for kids, this isn't going to work. Like that was my, because I was, you were used to using it, so it was kind of like, oh yeah, I'll do the thing I know how to do.
Yeah.
For me, it was relearning, like, I'm going to have to teach this to kids, and that frightened me. We also got a comment about Microsoft Teams, which I have not used, although I have talked to some of the kids. They talk about how they use it a lot. So I've heard it because it records sessions. Zoom records as well. If you have, I don't know if you have to have a paid account, because we do have a paid account.
I don't honestly know, but yeah, up on that, and I can turn our Zoom on so they can see it a little bit. So up here, where's the recording button? Oh, here we go. Down here at the bottom. I wonder if you can see that on the... there's a little button that says record. Also, when you're creating your meeting, you can set it up so that it will either save to the cloud or save to your computer. So that can be helpful. Mouse is in the way. But yeah, there we go.
Yeah, and they're talking about how it can have a pretty steep learning curve, and absolutely, Doug.
Massive learning curve.
It's the learning curve is very. I have a 14-year-old son.
Or save to your computer.
Apparently,
that can be helpful.
And they definitely. He started wanting to run, and I said, "Oh, you might want to try Roll20 if you want to learn how to do it." And he started learning it, and other 14-year-old kids did not have the patience for it, and so he ended up just going theater of the mind, and running from there. Because it was just you have to plan out if especially with the free stuff, you need to plan out exactly what you're going to be doing, what your maps are, resize them. I mean, if you have the paid content, it's good because it's already scaled to the right thing. You can put the map up. So it's real. It's definitely a lot trickier.
Yeah. So yeah, that was kind of where we started. We were like, oh, we'll look at Roll20. We'll look at what sort of streaming service. One of the things that we discussed a little bit in the beginning, because I had been using up to this point Hangouts a lot for my video calls and things, mostly because it's just darn easy to use. But then you have to have a Gmail account, and it's not really necessarily designed for this sort of conference calling stuff. One of the things that can be very helpful is that there are a lot of sort of tools that you can use to sort of change screen sharing and that sort of thing. But one of the other ones that I think can be very helpful, and especially if you're already on it, is Discord. Has a lot of really good options for doing D&D sessions. And what's very fun about Discord is you do have your different sort of text channels. So the adult game that I run, there is a Discord for that. And so like there can be discussions about specific things on the sessions, between sessions that we can maintain almost like a forum. And then they'll actually, a lot of times after we finish the session, they'll all hop onto a voice channel on the Discord to then discuss what happens. It's a lot of intrigue and spies and all that stuff. So there's a lot to sort of unpack afterwards. But Discord is, I think, another great option if you're not necessarily wanting to use Zoom. I never before more feel like an old man than every time I'm trying to use Discord. However, it's one of those ones where like every time I hit the X, it should stop the call. It's like, no, you have to end the call and then hit the X because it'll run in the background and people will continue hearing you, which is something to remember.
Be careful. Be careful, everyone.
Yeah.
Another tool that I think it's the one that's like Roll20, but it requires a subscription to pay.
I was trying to remember it myself.
Is it the Foundry?
It's not Fantasy Grounds, is it?
Is it the Foundry? Or
I was looking at it. We were talking about it at one point.
Yeah, this was like in the because it is it's Fantasy Grounds. So Fantasy Grounds is on Steam. It is very similar to Roll20 in that it is a digital tabletop with a variety of interesting sort of features and things. But I think that one's more complicated than Roll20. And again, it was one of those things where ultimately simplicity was the thing that we ended up going with.
We also had a bunch of miniatures everywhere.
Exactly, that's the thing. And that's not everyone. Most people playing D&D now have all their stuff set up for things to do physically. And I think, Alex, you have a map set up right now, don't you?
I do. It's not an Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you could show us what you got.
I would love to show you what I've got. You can see the lovely battle of a broken down abbey or a broken down church with a makeshift blue dragon here, also working with some extra adventurous allies while they are defending against the orcs who are deciding to ambush them. Well, you can also possibly see my lamp in the background.
Now, I'll notice that I can still see you down in the bottom right-hand corner. So
I'm using a program called OBS, so then I have multiple cameras running, so you can actually see me dancing. And so OBS is great for just having multiple cameras everywhere. There is even one setting where I'm like, oh, this is a really big scene. You want to have all the angles. And so I'll actually show all the camera angles as many as I possibly can, just to be like, this is a big fight.
Yeah, you can do a lot with OBS, and there's a lot of resources to learn how to use it, so it's not terribly hard, but it's not a necessity. it's kind of nice, especially if you're like me and you have the you like to gesture a lot or make faces. You kind of if you're doing a character and they're hunched, you'll find yourself doing it even if they can't see you. So you might as well be on camera. Yeah, and.
See, look at that.
Sorry. The second Alex is slowly moving across the screen was
Yeah.
great. And I think this is actually a great sort of segue into. Actually, no, we still probably should discuss the technology and the things we went with. So, for the most part, to be able to stream, we use Zoom, and then I believe Jason, you also use OBS, yeah?
I use OBS, yeah. One of the things, and this is when I was talking earlier about there being a lot of back-end expense that we use that we don't think about, but we have a lot of miniatures and a lot of things like that that not everybody has. So that can be a lot trickier, but you can just, I have a thing of like, my son, when he would go and play other places, I wouldn't want to take my miniatures because it's a lot of 14-year-old kids and they would come back broken. So he would use, let me grab what he would use, his characters. Sorry, throwing things around. I have this little stash box of pawns and stuff from other board games.
Oh yeah.
And you would have like specific ones, and I had a couple like you could use different shape ones just to keep track of. It's what I used to do when back before you could really get a hold of miniatures easily. Would use like coins and stuff, and abstract measurements. So you're there and they're there, so you didn't have to keep explaining who's near the door.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
The other thing that's relatively simple to do is, say your scene is the group of you enter a chamber. 3 pillars sit on either side of the chamber, raising up, holding the roof aloft. Before you there is a door, and to either side there is a door, and the room behind you sits empty, having destroyed all the things inside it. And then one of you say, "Where am I?" To which I say, "One moment, please.
You can draw a picture.
You're right here. You're in this building here. Door.
The black pens are your friend when you're doing that.
Yeah, it is a pencil, and I am backlit.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no, that neither here.
But still, it's
Sharpies can be good for that. I've done that too. The other one is like, say I have out in front of me, I have like if you want to share stuff with the players, a simple like you're using your phone as a camera, you can just, or an actual webcam, of course. You can. Is it gonna kick in? There we go.
Oh, there we go.
This is the map from Icewind Dale, the back of it. So like planning and showing different things, you can kind of like oh yes, you guys are in East Haven. And it's a you can show the travel type thing. Obviously, you can take an image and share an image like that you find online, or even a photograph from your book.
Right,
to
exactly.
make it easier to literally zoom in and pinch and zoom or whatever. But that kind of thing can help me. Like, once again, I have OBS, so I'm still down in the corner.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that's just the map that's with the book. Like that's simple. If you have the book, you're running an adventure from the book, like Curse of Strahd or whatever. You can put the map out, the poster out, and kind of show. That's more overland travel, but there are other maps, like battle maps and stuff that you can show too.
Well, and even speaking of like using the share screen option with Zoom, you can. Do you mind if I share my screen just to show like a map of the world?
Yeah.
All right. So like.
And Doug, we will circle around to your question. I think it's an excellent question, but we're gonna show this real fast.
Well, so another cool thing about using Zoom is that you can actually annotate and literally write. Wow, I am just fantastic at writing. Or you can just be like, you guys are here, and you want to go in this direction. Or you want to just go in this direction, but don't go to the forest. Like, you can actually show maps and then cross out, and there is an option to have like everyone be able to annotate, or you can turn that off too.
Yeah.
So you could have like someone else be the blue color and be like, no, I want to go to the desert. And you're like, why do you want to go to the desert when there's a really cool city in the swamp right there? Typical stuff.
So I think yeah. being able, so there's a lot of really fun stuff you can do. Like there's actually a lot of things that I really like about having the digital version for running games. Let's go ahead and dive into Doug's question real fast, and then I think we should talk about the benefits of running a game online versus running it the features of running online that you can sort of take advantage of. So Doug says, I'm curious what your thoughts on D&D Beyond is in general. My son has a bunch of physical books, and since he is DMing on Roll20, his players don't have their own books. He's been asking for a subscription to D&D Beyond, but I can't see paying twice for the same material. I understand that completely. So, a couple things to know. If
really
you
quick.
want... Oh,
There's an interesting thing here because the three of us have different approaches to D&D Beyond. So
we really
all
do.
three of us are different scales of D&D Beyond.
Yep.
So we can kind of all
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to first start with firstly what D&D Beyond is. So D&D Beyond is a digital platform that has been working with Wizards of the Coast and Dungeons and Dragons to be able to create a digital sort of, not really database is necessarily the thing, but all the books in digital form. They're working on creating digital character sheets. They've got those pretty well locked down. They have encounter trackers. It's essentially a digital online D&D tool that has a lot of integrated features into it.
And you can read the books on D&D Beyond. So like when you buy a book, the book is on D&D Beyond, but also those things that are in the book, like magic items and stuff, are accessible on the character sheets when you buy the book, which that's a huge aspect of it. You know, the monsters that show up, and races.
Yeah. Now the other thing that I feel like we should also mention is Doug mentioned sub. So there are 3 ways to access D&D Beyond. The first way is the free version, where you can create, I believe, 6 characters. You can participate in campaigns. You have access to the basic rules, which I think we should discuss that a little bit later as well. And then. Any of the things in the basic rules you can look up, and you can use the tools for the most part. The subscription version gives you access to as many characters as you want. I don't remember. I haven't really used that one, so I know a little bit less about it. Excuse me. I think primarily it's that you get more character options, and then the third option, and I think the third option is still just $7 a month, $6 a month. I don't remember. So the premium is I think $6 or $7 a month, and that gives you as many characters as you want, as many campaigns as you want. I'm assuming as well. And then also the very fun thing is in 3 of the campaigns you create, you can share your content, which means any books that you purchase on D&D Beyond, if you hit that share content button, anyone else that creates a character in that campaign has access to all the books that you have purchased.
It's 5 campaigns. So
yeah,
sorry, I was just looking at the sheet.
Oh, it is. Okay, yeah, you pulled up the thing. So
okay, great.
Yeah, so the first level, or sorry, the free level is less campaigns.
None. You don't get to share.
You don't get to share. Oh, you can share up to 5 campaigns now with the.
Yeah.
So they upped it from 3 last time I
I'm gonna share my
looked.
screen real quick because I'm on the site.
Oh.
All right. Yes.
Let's look at it.
All right. So here's the free tier, hero tier, and master tier. And so you obviously, these are the differences. You get early access to new tools is cool, but not necessarily, although the encounter tracker is in there.
Oh, the encounter tracker is magical. But again, this is me, that's what I prefer to use.
Yep. And the free is just you sign up, you don't pay anything. So that's great.
And you can sign up with Twitch, Facebook, or Google, or create your own account, or does it have to be linked to one of those 3?
I think it's any of those 3.
Yeah.
I haven't logged out in a while.
Exactly. Which is to say, we're very well informed on how this works because, anyway. So it looks like we got some other stuff.
You have up to 6 characters.
Ooh, homebrew content.
The digital character sheet, and also just create characters. You can create homebrew items for your own use with the free, and you can share your homebrew content that you make publicly if you want to, but you can't use other people's public homebrews. Yeah. And I use a lot of homebrew for like magic items and stuff because I like custom little things, even if they're just like, I like, changing things up a bit. So I've done that. But that can require, you're going to want to watch some videos or have tutorials on how to mess with that system because that's a lot of work. Because I've done custom subclasses and stuff. That's some some mighty work.
Most of the homebrew that I do is just items because it's so easy to use, and I'm like, oh yes, you found a cool item.
I've actually discovered
just grab it.
customizing items is very easy as well. You
Yeah.
just get something in there that's very similar, and then you just you hit the customize button, and you can change up a lot of stuff. It does sound like we're selling D&D Beyond. We're not in any way. You should use whatever you can afford to use and whatever you like to use. It's just
It's just a helpful tool for us.
yes.
Yeah, but you can also get away with the free, which I'm just going to show. The only thing in the campaign things you can create and join campaigns, you can create your own campaign with the free.
Oh,
So
you can. That's
something-
awesome.
Fine. Yeah.
Cool.
So you can do this for free. It's just you won't have as much stuff, which is, it's what it is. Joining campaigns, you can't share. So like if you buy a book, you can't share it with other people unless you have the biggest tier.
Yeah.
So if you like Rob, you or us, we own these books. Sharing the book with other people, or sharing the unlocked content with other people is a higher tier.
And that's cool. I thought it was only 3. I've had only 3 going at a time. Can we real quick scroll down? Is the price in any of these? Ah, they don't have the price.
It's at the top, I believe. It's not.
Oh, because you're already subscribed.
All right, let me see. Marketplace. Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't let me.
Yeah.
It's just the plans. I mean, I can go into it, but I'm not.
Yeah, let's not worry about it. We'll let you do your research on that. So, I think that this is a very interesting and difficult to answer question of, is it worth having it in both places? For me personally, absolutely. I mentioned this earlier in the show. I buy books both physically and digitally because I like having both. I like being able to be able to just snag this guy and be like, all right, so we're gonna go to. I can open up to specific places in the book without having to really think, because I've used it enough that I'm just like, I want magic, so magic is going to be here. And I'm within a couple pages of magic with relative ease. I need classes, so I'll just snag it here, and I'm in the rogue. That was a single grab. So this is really fast for me to use, but at the same time, if there's a weird specific detail, and then Jason actually bothers with the things.
Yeah, but you can do this with a physical book. You can't do it as much with it.
That's
It's
true.
just like, I have
It's
it
so
all
hard
you know,
to
up and
with
ready
the-
to go.
with
So I
the
can be like, oh, you're a
digital.
warlock, bam, and I have it right there.
Yeah.
So that's something that's. I mean, you can still. I mean, it's not that hard to type it in. I do that as well, especially because I like when leveling up. I'll share the screen.
Obscure rules are always the one where I'm just like, I have no idea, like, where is drowning, or how far you can move in a single turn. Like, these are rules that a lot of times I'm like, where's suffocation? How many rounds of being choked do you have? Not that comes up a lot, but it does on occasion. Anyway, so me personally, I do both. Also because I like supporting the people that make this stuff. I know that that's not always the thing that you can do. And especially now with things being as expensive as they are, I know that that's sort of difficult. So I think being able to just sort of hold up your book with the stuff, I think is equally as good as going that extra mile to and purchasing the things. But I'm curious, Jason, what is your digital versus physical? How do you approach it?
Mine is I'm primarily physical. So I primarily like having a physical book. But ever since running it on here, I've obviously been converting over to digital for the most part. But I only own on D&D Beyond the Player's Handbook, the let's see, Xanathar's Guide, because it has all the stuff for player character creation, and I just bought Tasha's.
Yeah.
Because I'll be using that. But other than that, I don't own any. I may purchase more when it comes down to it. But in terms of what I personally need for mine, it's that. The rest of it, I like having like these cards, for like I know that they're gonna run into tribal warriors coming up, so I'll have these cards, and it's also a thing I can track. So I can put condition, I can write a post-it or something and put down that they restrained the tribal warrior, and so it's something to remind me, or put a counter on it, or whatever I'm doing. So having a physical thing to me is an easier thing to keep track of than a bunch of tabs. I will lose track.
Oh yeah, with you on that one. And then Alex, are you more physical or digital as far as using D&D Beyond?
So for running games, I've been doing just like a lot of digital, just because it's like super easy, and it's also really easy for me to just be able to have like my desk. So like I may or may not have that much space for any given time. Granted, when I'm over in my office and not working from home, like yes, I do have a lot more space. But a lot of the times, I really like having the books, but I still look up a lot of stuff online, and I have a lot more of the simpler versions of D&D Beyond. Like I just use the hero subscription. I don't use the master tier. Um,
Well,
and I typically find that it's helpful for me to be able to help out with the newer players and learning how to like level up their character, create a character from just like the basic rules and from the player's handbook. And then the other more experienced players that I've got, they will have already purchased a lot of their other stuff just so then they can be able to level up their characters by themselves and use outside of the player's handbook resources.
So essentially, what it comes down to, I think for the whole thing is how much do you really want to spend? I love it, but at the same time, it also isn't for everyone. I think it would though. I would be amiss if I did not show something real quick.
Alright.
I'm gonna do my screen share. So this is the basic rules. These are the things that are. Oh, I'm still full screen. Oh, I've angered the. Oh, I've really angered
the
it.
stream gods.
Yeah. Okay. Well, here, give me a sec. I forgot to test to see if I could share my screen, and the answer is no. No, I cannot. So, do one of you guys have D&D Beyond pulled up right now?
Yeah, I do.
If you go to sources, could you pull? Oh, we're still. Oh, I've angered the machine so badly. Give me a sec.
Okay. Which?
I must pray to the machine spirits real quick.
Okay, here we go.
Here we go. Okay, we're back.
We're back, everybody.
Excellent.
All right, here's
Here we
Jason.
go. These are the SRD, or the System Reference Document, which if you look it up on other things, it'll be referred to it as the SRD. But this is the basic rules, so it has everything for the most part. There's some stuff that obviously isn't in here.
Yeah, I think that your access to, like, for most of the races, you only have the one sub race. So I think for dwarves you can do. They only have the one.
Elves have like 3.
No, they do in the base.
They do the base one,
In the
but
basic
in the
rules.
in the basic rules, I think you've only got the
just
one.
No,
I don't think you can be a drow.
It put me through to the regular because I own it.
Oh, okay, yeah,
So,
we'd have to.
but I
show
know
the-
that you only get Hill Dwarf, I think, in the.
But-
I was
but-
kind of testing that.
But what that is to say is there is still quite a bit of content that's available completely for free. The other thing that you can
I
do
have a
is you can
second
buy a
account
la
that's
carte.
free.
So if you're like, I want to play this specific character, you can buy just those things. They're relatively cheap, all things considered, which is nice. Additionally, if you don't want to use D&D Beyond because you don't like it for whatever reason, if you go to Wizards of the Coast, not go to Wizards, sorry, DungeonsandDragons.com, and then you go to. I was going to share it, but I can't because my computer is grumpy. Let's see. So you go to D&D Beyond, go to Gameplay, Basics of Play, and then within Basics of Play, it has Basic Rules. And I'm sure there's an easier way to get to that. I've forgotten how at this point, unfortunately.
I also have another account that I use that's just like a free account just so I can see also what else is available.
Yeah.
So like in the player's handbook, it does describe rules for how to play as a drow, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, in the basic rules, it doesn't actually describe how to play as a drow. It's just a high elf and a wood elf.
Oh, it does actually have 2 elves. Nice.
Yeah.
Which essentially all of that is a very long-winded way of saying, I would say
Yeah.
yes, but that's just me.
Another-
I hope that helped. I hope that answered your question, Doug, and any other questions that anyone else had.
Yeah, the other thing to mention that D&D Beyond does have is on the character sheets there's a dice roller now.
Ooh,
So,
yes. Should
yeah,
we
and-
should we wander over to dice rolling?
Yeah, that's what I
now?
figured we'd use that
Yeah, let's do it.
as a little segue. But yes, you can. I'm gonna go ahead and share real quick. I'm just gonna grab a character here. Let's see. All right, so I am going to share here just to show the.
Oh, I can even show the character I made last week.
So it's.
Oh, yeah. So who will get there first?
Am I sharing the correct screen?
Oh, hey, look, there's us.
Nope. All right, I know I realized I hit it too fast. I didn't know what I was doing. All right,
There we
so
go.
I'm gonna go ahead and turn on the dice rolling. It's in beta, but it works. All right, so we need to roll Arcana. Click on it.
You have a
and
plus
out
4.
pops the dice,
Oh, look at that. It bounces around.
and there you go. I rolled a 10 plus 4 because Arcana plus 4, 14, and just keeps track. It's kind of nice. But the one weakness of it is it doesn't share your results, which is fine for most times you're playing. But if you want to have a group where it shares in a singular place, there are a couple of options. The main one that we all use is roll dice with friends. I think we all use it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. I am going to zoom it in here because it's very small. Because you just create a room. We can just
Now,
say
what the room name is available for anyone. So
yes.
make sure that you pick a room name that isn't going to be too universal, because you might find yourself popping into someone else's room.
So I'm doing Zulu, so anybody who wants to can pop in, go to rolldicewithfriends.com, type in Zulus, and you can roll. It makes your default name Dallas Dice Roller, but you can just change it. I'm Jason. And you just put a dice in there, roll 20. There we go. I rolled a 3.
That's a great,
You know,
guess
great
what?
opening roll.
Alex just rolled, you win. But yes, so we can see all the results. This is nice because you're held to your rolls, which is, as a DM, you can fudge, but you can't on this, so that gets hard. But the other thing is that you have a reference to look back at. What did I roll 2 seconds ago? Or if everybody rolls initiative at once, gives you time to track the initiative as a DM, which I do like a lot. So when you get 5 rolls at once, and you're just like, okay.
See, look at that. Rob, you just rolled a 71, so congratulations. You beat both.
Oh, I got a crit.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like this one actually a lot for when I'm doing mobs of attacks or characters with multiple attacks on their profile. So I can be like, well, there's 8 guards. They're all attacking with their clubs. They've got a +4 to hit because we're using just the guard stat rule. So let's see. That's a 20. That's a 9. We got a crit. Let's see. 11,
7.
8, 6, 7, and then an 18. And then you can either know your enemy, your character's ACs or not, and then go go from there.
Yeah.
Also,
I've done that for like archers. Like we were talking on one of the previous thing about fly being a pretty potent spell.
Oh, yeah.
But if you have 6 archers and you roll those 6 20s, you can then go, well, you need to roll Constitution check. You got hit by 6 arrows. I may not have done a ton of damage to your high level wizard, but that's like 6. If you all hit, that's 6 Constitution checks to see if you can maintain concentration.
yeah. I always forget which spells are concentration, which aren't.
Well,
Dude, I totally
That's the other-
ruined a kid.
Yeah. And then if they don't have feather fall, you take a lot of damage from falling.
Oh yeah, D6 per 10 feet.
Yeah, it took a wizard out with somebody throwing a brick at their head. So,
I mean, let's be honest. Bricks and heads do not marry well.
you don't want to be flying when it happens. All right, so that's roll dice with friends movies. But originally, when Alex and I were really trying to figure out a good one we could share results, because with kids you definitely need to share more, because there tends to be there's a little more likely a chance they might cheat.
Also, just being able to, when you have a lot of people all talking simultaneously, being able to know whose roles were where, even the players remembering what they rolled, having it like in this sort of continuous format is very helpful for that. Especially if, as the DM, you know everyone's bonus, you can just take a quick glance at the results and be like, oh, okay, so I know kind of basically what I'm looking at for these.
And here's another one. This is a teal dice. You can share it. It's changed a little since we originally looked at it, so we're just gonna basically, you get to clear the dice, and you're gonna roll D20, throw it. I did not create a room for this one. This is just to show it, but it actually rolls a physical dice, like on a digital dice, but a visual representation of it, and you can just pick up the dice and roll it again.
You can actually.
There's also
But you get the
teal with
almost
2
roll
L's.
What'd you say? Sorry.
It's teal with 2 L's.
Oh, teal with 2 L's. Yeah, even though it
Yeah,
shows
it's like
up on the site with one.
It's a very specific link that if you just go to like teal.com, like you'll get something completely different than rolling dice.
Also, important detail: it is a teal.
Yeah.
It's not www.
And like you can go into the single player is what we're doing, but you can go to multiplayer, and then it wants you to sign up. We haven't messed with it, so I'm not vouching for it. We are not vouching for this site. But yes,
But it's just an extra thing to look for.
Extra
These
step,
we're
roll
not.
dice is just
We're in no way telling you how to run your game. We're just telling you all of the things that we've discovered as we've sort of been digging around trying to make this work as efficiently as possible. So definitely, whatever resources you have available to you and whatever things you feel the most comfortable using, that's what you should use.
Yeah.
But these are the things that we have discovered. So I think the digital dice roller is definitely, I think, very beneficial in that you can kind of see what people are rolling. That being said, also just having people, since most people have their own dice anyway if they've played before, so just being able to roll sort of at yourself can also be nice because you still get that tactileness of tossing the dice. When I play in my Pathfinder game, I have a physical character sheet and I have physical dice and I toss them around. The metal, it feels good. But that's also, it's completely online as well. So it just has that fun benefit of you can still have your physical character sheet and your physical dice even though the people are not physically in the same room as you. But in many ways they do sort of feel like they're in the same room. What were you going to say, Jason? Sorry.
Oh, I was going to point out there is one other free thing that you can do.
Ooh,
Say one person doesn't have dice. You just go to Google, type in roll dice, and then you have a dice roller right there.
Oh, yes, that actually. So you can create a Google Hangouts group as long as you're not on mobile. If you're on a desktop and you create a Hangout group, you can do /roll and then a space and then the dice and then the modifier and hit enter and it will pop up with the rolls. It works essentially the same as the roll dice with friends, and it'll maintain that list, and you can put your modifiers in there already. So there's definitely a lot of fun, easy, cheap options for digital dice rolling.
They've actually changed the polyhedral dice. So this is the screen for if you type in the roll dice. Here, I'm sharing it, so you can actually add a modifier to your roll.
That's so cool.
And you can roll it, and there you go. It'll change.
Oh, it has little animations for going into there.
Yeah, it has little animations.
That's
it looks
fun.
pretty cool. It's kind of a fun little, you just take out the dice. I haven't tried rolling. You can do advantage. I mean, it adds it up, of course. And
But you have to do the math.
But, yeah. So,
nice.
The modifier doesn't work with advantage, but it's weird D&D.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I feel like one of the things we should talk about a little bit, because again, I feel like a lot of times, especially because D&D is such a delightful physical medium, it feels kind of like you're losing a lot by not being able to be in person. And in many ways you kind of are, because again, you can only see from the chest up. It's easy to have other things on your computer. It's easy to get distracted. But I feel like that's also a thing that as players you need to commit to the game. If you're going to be in the game, you should definitely stay off Facebook and things. But the other things that you can do is there's actually a lot of some ways that you can sort of add to the experience. Alex before was showing us he has that map that you were showing. If you want to go back to that map a little bit.
Of course, I'd love to go to the map.
So there are a variety of apps online that allow you to create these interactive. This one is interactive, but create maps for this custom sort of area to allow your players to sort of see the map and move it around and get a good look for it. So remembering that you're on a digital format, which means that there are a variety of tools that your players will always have access to, I think is something that could be pretty beneficial. Additionally,
I was just gonna see if I can go to my edit screen so then I can at least point out you can also have secret notes about stuff too.
Yeah.
And with this share screen option, you can even click to share the notes.
Nice.
If you wanted to.
So,
I just have to wait for the thing to load because there's so much. Sometimes there's
Stuff.
just so much that is just popping up that you're like, oh boy, here we go. Let's see if we're gonna load it up. See, so even with this, it's just I only am using the free application. But I have a whole bunch of notes, and so I have drop points, so it can be the city of Brightwood. Well, what does that mean? Well, there's a whole bunch of a description of it.
Nice.
Woohoo!
I like
Yeah.
it. Well, and
Jason,
Jason, who has stepped away from
Sorry,
a moment. No, you're fine.
No, I'm here. I just
Okay.
turned back on.
So you have there's an app so you have a custom world that you've been building for since a long time ago, and within that world there's an app that you're using to sort of maintain all that information. So one of the things we talked about in the homebrew session was that one of the sort of disadvantages to doing homebrew is that your players don't necessarily have access to all the lore from the world that they otherwise would. In the case that you are doing a digital session, it's significantly easier to present to players the options that they have in sort of that document. Although, are you able to make like a DM version and a player version of that, or is it all just all notes are in there?
I'll actually show.
That's awesome.
I'm logged in, so be careful what I click in.
I've actually just started using it too because it's so helpful for like homebrew worlds.
This is my custom world, and like some of it I haven't done obviously, and my players can join and claim their characters like on D&D Beyond.
Nice.
Actually, I'm gonna go to. Actually, I go into characters here because you can see it has like a list of the characters. And it has placeholder images of the ones I've recently. If it's gonna load, So here, I don't want to click on Hob because he's got secrets and they will pop up because I'm logged in. Let me find it. Actually, I can go better. Let's go to TOC table of contents, and we got all the players here. So nice. I'm going to pull up. This is one of our coworkers, Cole's character of Dimistyr, a dragonborn sorcerer. And like you can kind of see, I have the fusion of aberrant and draconic natures recently escaped from Telt's Rocks, and you can kind of look over here. Here's the player. It shows the class. I put all this information in, but also, of course, this is the one I didn't put a character sheet up. Yep.
You can upload a character sheet.
You know how it works. It's
I...
So I was gonna say, but you can attach a character sheet like a PDF if you have it. To there and have the characters on there. I actually, if you go on my main page here, let's see if it's actually still logged in. I'll show you what I'm talking about. You can actually, I have a map of the world, and you can hover over things. This is an incomplete map, but it has like little like whoops, and I didn't mean to drop in. All right, so yeah, like here you can kind of see different things.
Sorry, I just read the Eric's comment. He's asking for Tasha's Cauldron and everything alt cover, and he's saying that he has saffron and fine beaver pelts. You know what? I am in the warehouse right now. While you're looking up that and talking to them, I'm going to take a quick second to step away to ask, because I know that we sold a bunch of the stuff online. So let me go ahead and ask the warehouse about that, and I will be right back.
And the other thing is with Scabbard that we're explaining is it's free. To get more stuff out of it, you're gonna want to subscribe to it. I did just because I like having like all my notes out there. That's specific because I have a very custom world. This helps to have a reference point that players can kind of look through and see things. So like one of the games has this, which is the bad guy, the list of the villains in the campaign. Come on.
List of the worst of the worst.
They can kind of click through. This other reason I'm going here is, I think this is Alex's character.
Yeah, here we go.
I'm pulling him up because I believe I'm crossing my fingers. So yes, but yeah, we have I think. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I did put it.
Oh, you did.
So this is like my custom character sheet, and so it's visible on the site. You can kind of see what he has. Now, I do custom stuff a lot. I like doing extra work because I'm crazy. But yeah, and then like once again, over the side here, and it's not like me. Fun. All right, there we go. You can see he is a bard, a warlock, he's a bard and warlock rather, and that kind of thing. And I custom made my own race because my elves are different. But I can click through any of these to see, like who else in the game is a bard. Or what
exactly.
Is.
Or who else in the world is a bard?
What?
Yes. So yeah, in my game is a bard, and so we have a few others stashed about through here.
Exactly.
So which all happen to be player characters. I don't have any NPC bards in here. All right. I mean, they exist. I just haven't put them in. But yeah. So I love Scabbard. What do you feel about it, Alex?
Oh my gosh, I love it so much, and I've actually been using it. I also paid for the subscription because I'm also wanting to be crazy. And right now, it's so fun to just be able to literally have a website so then you can show the connections between every single character.
Yeah.
Like,
It is. There's another feature.
there's also a way, there's a graph, so then you
Yeah, I was
literally
just- I was
type in
gonna pull
a
it up, but-
character and then just click through the webcam, or not webcam, through like just the relationship web of just like, oh, hey, there's this character Angve. So your it's funny, the Angve in your world is very different than the Angve in my world. In your world, he's evil, corrupt, terrible. Well, kind of not terrible. I think he's pretty sweet, but he's also a goofball.
Here's an
But then the
example of a
Angve in my world is I am a goofball. He's just crazy.
Oh, this is Hobbs, which is Alex's other character, because I run 2 different campaigns, of course, in the same world. Well, at least 2 that he's in. But anyway, so you can kind of see that he's owner of the Stone of Fey Luck, and you can kind of like participant of the Last War, and you kind of click in and who else, a participant is King Denethane,
And it also shows public relations. Even if you are logged in as your game master with secrets, it shows public stuff.
So yeah, and then like what does the Fifth Empire tie into? And there's all sorts of things, and you can kind of like and it should appear at the top of the screen, so I can be like, oh, I want to click on that and learn more about this, and it's kind of fun because you can see how your world is connected and working together. So so that's
It's just a way for us
on
to.
some of that stuff because I mainly have it in notebooks and stuff, and I'm trying to get it all online.
Right, exactly.
I was actually starting to get it ready because I was cleaning up and found my stack of notes that's like this, and I'm like, oh man, I have to put that all in. All right.
Man,
But
that's insane.
Any other things? Let's see. We've got.
I'm back.
About Scabbard.
Welcome back. Let's see.
Oh, yeah. Any new?
The website that I use for maps, it's Incarnate. I have to wait for it to be responsive. My Facebook just decided to quit looking, so I'm like, okay.
We have love.
Yeah.
So I do have an answer for Eric. So we sold way more of the alt art cover, Tasha's Cauldron and everything than we have for basically any other book. I think we sold 60 pre-orders online. However, we did manage to get more secured. However, we're not exactly sure when they'll be here. They should be here on Monday, but they may be here as late as Friday or later this week. The moral of that particular story is before you come in to get it, go ahead and give us a call, and we will check to make sure we have it. That's unfortunately the sort of the demand for this one was not anticipated. However, like I said, we should be getting another, I think, 35 in. So I would say just give a call before you head in. We don't want you to have to go out into the world more than you need to. We do very much want you to get your copy. Oh, perfect. Well, then there you go. So yes, we'll have if you've already purchased your book, then you can come in Tuesday to pick it up. Oh, we got getting some feedback.
Facebook, if you out and log back in, it automatically puts the volume up.
Additionally, if you are looking to get a hold, if you would like to get your copy, would like to reduce your risk as much as possible, when you arrive, you can call and we can bring it out to you, provided you've paid already. You can also pay over the phone or online for them as well. So, actually, wait, you can't buy it online. All of this is saying we do curbside pickup for products if you give us a call. So, not us specifically, but whoever's at the store at the time.
Right. Just give Zulu's Board Game Cafe a call.
Yes.
Or just come up to the front desk and we'll have them ready right there for you.
So you were talking about maps, Alex?
Oh yeah. So the map website that I use is Incarnate, but it's spelled INK. If you want, I can show it off again.
I love that you sign when you talk sometimes.
I just read sign language, so like I just know it, man. Okay.
No, I think that'd be really awesome. We need. I would love to be able to do ASL because I'd love to do ASL D&D. But anyway, turns out you have to worry less. Oh, but the skitter of the video would really suck.
That would be that's a very different topic for another day because because it's a lot of requirements if you want to do it if you want to go crazy and like kind of the way that we would want to run it. It would be like you'd have to have a cameraman and also like multiple employees or multiple DMs or co-DMs that would be able to know sign language. But that'll be a conversation for another. That's a different page.
So the other thing, and I don't know if we want to move away from the maps too soon.
I was going to say the one I use. I use Incarnate, the free version. There's a program I use. It's a paid program. I'm loading it right now. Yes, here we go. I'm going to show it real quick. So this is one of the maps I did.
You're kids. Blinking in and out. Jason, you've angered the machine.
No, he's angered the Zoom gods.
Oh, I know what I did.
The machine spirit is quite mad.
Yeah, let me just. Technically, I'm loading.
It's such a great. It's such a great loading screen.
Tell me if this works. I'm going to share my screen. This is the. Oh.
Yes, Eric, if you dress this as Tasha, you do get advantage on your charisma checks.
Not necessarily from everybody.
I didn't say for everyone. I just said he would get advantage.
So this is Wonder Draft. It is a super simple program. It's because right now I'll show you. You can go to land here, and you can just simply raise and lower land masses as I drag it around. So if I have it, it may not. Oh, there we go. So I'm just simply drawing some islands here, and you can make it more jagged or however you want to do it. It is super simple.
That is really pretty. Now this brings up an interesting question though. What would you call a grouping of islands much like this one?
An archipelago.
Okay.
So
that's always been one of those words where I'm like, how do you pronounce this one?
Archipelago is the correct pronunciation. But yes, and so this was a quick. I think I did it in 20 minutes, and I just as they explore, I've labeled it more, and I have a pencil draw. I actually went off a pencil drawing because I was setting it up. But yeah, it's just that, and I can zoom in. I can share this on my screen as I'm doing now. I actually don't remember the name of the customer. It was actually a customer. Let's see, I want to close this and see if I can stop flickering. We're gonna test the. Yay! I'm back. All right. So discard those. All right. So one. You want to see my? All right. So a customer told me about Wonder Draft. I was talking about making a map. I was using Campaign Cartographer, but I was having the worst. I don't know if anybody's ever used that program. I got it on a deal. It's a virtual. It's a program for making maps for D&D and stuff. But I know how to use Photoshop, and it uses the opposite format. I was constantly having to unlearn what I knew, and I couldn't. It was like trying to ride a bicycle backwards. You're just like, I'm holding the. I couldn't do it. It was messy. So and then a customer showed me that he printed out a huge. He went to Kinko's, and had a map of their campaign done on a giant blanket, and so they could hang it on the wall.
You can have Kinko's will print blankets.
It wasn't a blanket. I meant a tap. It was like a tapestry type giant bit of.
But that's so cool.
I said blanket, but I was thinking tarp. But yes, so yeah, he had it huge, and so he was putting it in his game room, putting it up. But he showed me a photograph of him holding it, and I was like, oh. So I then did some investigation on Wonder Draft, watched some videos, like I like this program, and so I've been doing it. But I wish I could remember the name of that. I haven't seen so many of the regulars in such a long time that them coming in, and I haven't been there all the time.
Yeah.
But yes, thank you to whoever whatever your name is, I forget. Sorry.
So thanks for helping out.
I feel like digital does offer a lot of different tools that you wouldn't otherwise have if you were sort of in the real. One of the other things I think that I personally always forget because it's not something that's on my mind because I like almost all my stuff. When I first started DMing, I just had books in my hand, and so the idea of this never came up. And plus, this is pre-Space Phone, so I hadn't thought of this. But sound effects and music are definitely something that you can really explore that I think can be really, really fun. There are a couple different apps that are available, like on phones. I forgot the one. Oh, dang it, I forgot it. But Jason, you have a website that you use for sound effects, yes?
Yes, I do. And I'm gonna show you. This is tabletop audio. They're purposely made. They have like you can kind of if I want to do a fantasy sounds, I can kind of click on fantasy. It's tabletopaudio.com is the website. And like you can just kind of like you can find things. They have little descriptions when you hover over them. You can save them for a playlist or add them to a playlist. For the most part,
play.
a lot of these are music or ambient sounds. I know I've used there's a jungle one, and here we go. If you're doing, I don't know if it'll play through, but
Oh, I do hear something.
Oh, I'm
you can have
hearing
it
it.
in the background, kind of slight. You can lower the volume and stuff to get it more that way. But one of the things I like the most on this site is if you go to Soundpad.
And this is still completely free.
Yes, this is all free. I haven't paid anything for this one. But like these are, if you're going back, let's go with the ice panel. Take a second to load. You can make your own custom sound pad and save it for free on the site.
Ooh.
And but right now it's loading this for just an icy ice planet. But it's so say I'm running Icewind Dale. This is a good sound board for that. And you can go ahead and like I can give I want a high volume wind tundra that repeats wind over the tundra, and that can add a lot or ice creaking and stuff like that. It's hard to hear. That one's slightly.
Speaking of which, if you actually so one of the things that I actually literally just discovered today that I didn't know was a thing, if you happen to be using Zoom, Jason, if you want to show us. Actually, I don't think we can see. I'm gonna show it on mine real quick, and then we'll let you do it.
Yeah.
So let me pull up Zoom. So let me. I don't. Can you see? Oh, you can't see it. Darn it.
Yeah, I don't think you can share that.
So if you go to Zoom and you go to screen share, it'll pop up with the different screens you can pick. You can then click on Advanced, and in Advanced. You can do a couple different options, but one of them is music or computer sound only, which I think is awesome, and I didn't even know you could do. There's also, you can share a second camera, which means that you can essentially do your picture-in-picture, but in Zoom. So that's awesome. So yeah, just using your tools to the fullest of their abilities is I think, a really... delightful feature, and again, something that I didn't even know about, and I've been using this program a lot for the last
April.
Yeah. So yeah,
and we use it every day pretty much, and I still every once in a while one of us will say something like, "Oh, you can do that." Like the waiting room was one of the things I didn't know about because I didn't want to take a chance on it, but like that's super helpful where you can admit people into the room when they show up,
it's awesome
if you're the one that started it. And that's very helpful because I know Alex and I both weren't doing it, and people would just pop into the meeting, which
hey,
yeah,
and you're like, oh, hello there.
When you're trying to do something, especially since we're dealing with children, it's a lot harder. But no, I've used the tabletop audio a bit. Like I said, like having doing it so you can have a T-Rex roar when a T-Rex is in the distance, or having thundering footsteps when they're being chased. Is nice. It adds tension and it adds a lot of immersiveness to it. And you can do it theater of the mind, or you can do it when you have minis out. You can do whatever. Or
and
being
I think
in the jungle and hearing birds makes it a little bit more, and that kind of thing. So, or hearing the rain.
Exactly.
Well, now you just hear the rain, but.
Right. Yeah. Oh, that's totally true. Yeah. There's some kids that I started off doing with miniatures and all that good stuff, and then eventually their campaign just got crazier and crazier and bigger, and I'm like, guys, we gotta do this.
Oh, so I'm looking. We just got a comment from Eric. So this is mellowdice.org. So you can type in board games to get pre-made lists. Which is really interesting, but he's talking about if you want a small town, type in Carcassonne. If you want a battle mix, you can go to Blood Rage, creepy ambient song, Eldritch Horror. That is awesome. I didn't even know that was a thing. I'm gonna have to check that out.
There's a lot of resources out there.
Exactly, and that's the thing. I know it's very hard, and I know that especially going to the holiday seasons, it's going to be really difficult to try and isolate, to try and stay safe out there. But I think the best thing to do when looking at this is to try and look at the cool, fun, new things you can do with your D&D, with these new resources. You're always going to be, you're going to have to be at some sort of digital sort of format, so this will give you the ability to, play around with that. Like, really sort of use it to its fullest potentials. And actually, so that brings up another thing that I want to just touch on a little bit. And I know that, obviously, if you're here and you're listening to us and you're seeing us, you probably have a certain level of technology. But for those friends that you have that maybe the technology isn't necessarily the best, maybe you don't have a webcam because their price is skyrocketed. We all have webcams. Well, most of us have webcams right there. Now, I know that not everyone can have a space phone, but they've gotten pretty ubiquitous. But even if necessarily you don't have a webcam because you don't have a phone that can do that, or you don't have something else, it can also be as simple as like a call. If you can do a call with everyone and you can hear everyone's voices, you can still make it work. But if that's maybe not necessarily a feasible option because of a variety of technological difficulties, the other thing that I really enjoy is that I've done before in the past that can be a lot of fun is what's called play-by-post. That's where you will sort of describe your character's actions, describe their attacks and things in a post, and then you basically have a forum that's going sort of piece by piece, going through this sort of narrative, which can be a lot of fun. It's a different format. It's definitely a little bit slower, but it can also work asymmetrically. So, it could be one of those things where when you have a chance to get online, to have access to a computer, even if that's a smaller window, then you can use that to sort of catch up on what's going on, post what your character wants to do, and then wait until the next time that you can get on. So that can be a really interesting, fun way of playing your D&D, is in that sort of asymmetric play-by-post. And programs like Discord can be very helpful. But then also, even if you want to do a slightly simpler version, you can create a document on Google Docs, and then just have that be like a living document that's sort of constantly updating the information that way. So there's a lot of ways to sort of make online role-playing work. It doesn't necessarily have to be sort of your top shelf, high quality, high production quality stuff. Even just getting on a shared doc, even honestly just like a text chain, that could be an interesting, fun way of running a game. Is just to kind of do that format. There's a lot of ways to stay connected and to continue playing in your fantasy world, even if it isn't necessarily as sort of technologically robust as maybe say what we're using.
Yeah, totally. I agree with that. I mean, anything you can use, use it. It's
Yeah.
Everything's at your disposal. Try and make it work. I mean, you'll find things that we never thought of.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can help you with some things. Which reminds me, there's another website that I've used, and it's a rabbit hole you can go down. It's this website called masterthedungeon.com, and it is a ton of resources for people running games. Like right here, if you look at the resources, I went to maps. They just have pre-made maps, high quality maps, and it has links to websites like Dice and Logos, which Rob and I have talked about before. He does a lot of the maps for D&D.
Oh, his maps are awesome.
These are all look at these maps. They're gorgeous.
Oh my gosh.
Dig through them. Like resources, like they have things for generators, campaign management. This is actually where I found Scabbard. So you can look at different ways of things for. Oops, it's loading here. So obviously like D&D Beyond, World Anvil is another great site. There are a lot of things out there, and so you can you can invest a lot of time in finding all these things and seeing which one is right for you, because these are all different, and they all offer different things. So, and like I said, there's a ton of resources. There's all the different dice rollers and DM tools and things like that. This site has a lot of stuff that you might just want. It's fun to look through. I do it regularly just to kind of see what they have. But masterthedungeon.com, kind of a cool little site, has a blog and stuff. And
the other thing that I feel would be remiss if we didn't mention. So firstly, in the chat, I have put the Zulu's Discord.
yeah.
On which chat?
Both of them.
Oh, sweet.
So that is a great place to be able to connect with other people in the community digitally. It's a little messy in some places, but if you can get yourself to the D&D channels, there's some voice channels there for people to be able to use. There's some discussion channels. We'd love to hear about your guys' digital setups, so feel free to hop in there. If you do @employee, it will ping us and be like, hey, someone's talking to you. So we'll get to see your awesome stuff, and that's the thing. We're here for you. Talk to us. Let us know what's going on. And then from there, hopefully you can create a group and get together that way. What's up?
We're pretty friendly for the most part.
Depends on the time of day. The other thing
If
is,
I've had my coffee.
yeah, right. Let's see. Adventures League is still going strong, and they have transitioned largely to digital sessions. So if you've never heard of Adventures League is organized D&D play. They have sort of a standardized set of rules for character construction, how they level up, and from that, because of that, rather, you can join in any session that is your same tier. So if you have a tier 1 character, which is levels 1 to 4, you can hop into any Adventures League game with that character, and they're a little bit, you can sort of move around with them. So Adventures League is a great resource for online games. If you don't necessarily have a group, that's a great place to find them.
Oh, and Eric, yeah, definitely offer us up a question.
Oh yeah, we'd love to answer D&D questions. If you've noticed, we love talking D&D. That's why we do it for an hour or two every Monday, and then also.
Just not the only time we talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's an hour prelude to this.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, this one also, we don't normally have like an hour prelude, but I think for this one, we did want to try and, because of the changes that happened recently, we wanted to try and talk about that a little. That doesn't mean that we're not going to return to the the character sheet anatomy. We would love to. It's timely, though. We will be talking more about Tasha's Cauldron of Everything next week, because I don't know about you guys, but we're very, very excited. It comes out tomorrow. We're going to be deep diving into it, figuring out exactly what all is in there. I've already pre-ordered my copy on D&D Beyond, so again, buying it twice.
Nice.
with my game store money, because that's loads and loads there. But yeah, no, it's
that's great.
Speaking of which, I think we've reached the sort of length and breadth of it. Do we have anything else we wanted to discuss?
No, I think unless Eric has that question, or if he wants to ask it later.
Oh yeah, if you want to slap it down now, we can talk about it. Oh, here we go.
I mean,
Okay.
the end fight of your campaign. Ooh.
So yeah, if you'd like us to discuss it here, you can slap that in the comments.
So yeah, the other thing is that we might be something we want to discuss Orcus fighting in a floaty.
Ooh, he's got the question.
So I actually think that might be one all three of us might want to think about. And I mean, I don't know if you have a do you have a time?
They're
limit
level
on
20.
PvP?
Wow. Okay.
4 players. Okay. Well, yeah. I think that's probably our question for you. Do you have the time limit?
Oh, Orcus. Oh, that's a specific person.
Yeah,
there we go.
yeah. We've got the mini in the store.
Player actions. Which one's Orcus?
Orcus is a god of death, and he's we have him above the dice. He's hiding on the there's a dice the dice.
Oh, the big demon guy.
Yeah, it's a big demon guy.
Gotcha.
And, big demon.
Hey, let me look it up. Is it OR?
And one of the things to keep in mind is lair actions are mean, but also the environment that players are in is always a huge factor. So, like, if you have like uneven surfaces and places where or places that can't hide, a key book in this is What the Monsters Are Thinking. I think is the name of the book. It's a good strategic for each type of creature. I know Orcus isn't in there, but it has examples of how a creature would fight for their environment and how they would set up an encounter for themselves.
Yeah, just saying that it looks like you're in a floating city, so if there's any like floating terrain that they need to worry about, or if they need to worry about falling, or if they need to worry about like how long will they be able to fly.
How they get there, but if it's in the middle of the fight, you can also have a thing where the city itself could shift, at points and throw the players, and Orcus might be prepared for that. Like there could be things to hold on to, but they have to be careful. That kind of thing. Where anything that, or maybe some people have to stabilize the area while others are fighting or whatever. You can make that encounter. Especially for a final encounter, you want it to be epic. I'd have to double check Orcus, but I'm sure he has thralls.
He's got like the Wand of Orcus, legendary resistance, magic weapons.
They're
Like he's
level
got.
20.
So I think the thing to remember about layer actions and also legendary actions is I feel like legendary actions and layer actions are a way to sort of balance out action economy. So you've got 4 players to his 1. So that means that every 4 actions that they take, he'll get only 1. Which means they'll be doing potentially 4 times the things. However, layer actions make him so that he can go at 20. And then legendary actions allow him to go at end of another person's turn. So that's, I think, the thing to always remember is start every initiative 20 with doing his layer actions, because otherwise he's going to get overwhelmed. They just have more actions than him, and they have an incredible amount of power. So those layer actions and those legendary actions are really designed to make it so that he can continue. Basically, it makes him an army to deal with, and I think one of his layer actions is produce an actual army. Which of course is more sort of stuff for you to have to worry about. But the other thing to also remember is NPCs can do the help action. So if for whatever reason, so him having just a wall of minions can be something as simple as they just get in the way, grapple reduces your speed to 0, and sure, there's not a lot of them, but if you have 2 people grappling the same subject, then they can give each other advantage, or just 2 of them grab at the same time. So at especially level 20, you're going to have a lot of things that are designed to negate things and to move past things. So sort of your answer to their action economy is legendary actions and layer actions. Also, if they're level 20 players... Oh, sorry.
Sorry, I didn't mean to watch over you there. What I was going to say is one of the other things about him is his abilities can be done before the fight, so keep that in mind. Because he can wait until it's combat, and if there are dead bodies there, he can raise them up with his wand. And he gets 2 chances to do that. He can create ghouls and ghasts, or just ghouls. I'm not sure. I have to double check the create undead spell. And it doesn't have to be nighttime. So he might have already been doing that / already have some around. And so, yeah, like I said, if that floating city has corpses around it.
Corpses. I don't think we can say that on stream, but that's a great analogy.
Yeah. The other thing is, and I'm assuming this is probably near the end of the thing, don't hold back on your players. You want, like, they're level 20, they have massive things. If they have not prepared for the eventuality of this guy to be incredibly powerful, you should probably punish them for that. Now, this is my evil DM coming out, but at the same time, like, knowing that there are real stakes, I think can really sort of amp up the sort of fear and fun of a fight. You know, because...
You also gotta worry... Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just gonna say, yeah, you gotta, like... I know it might seem like a lot, but yeah, but obviously don't go above and beyond. You know, they've gotten to this point in this power level. You don't want to just go making stuff up to make it so that it is more difficult. But I mean, at the same time, you're a DM, so it's up to your discretion.
And it's always important to keep in mind those subtle abilities on a monster, like True Sight. He has True Sight, so that's huge.
Invisibility doesn't work, and illusions don't work.
Yep.
Yeah.
He also has telepathy, 120 feet. So
that's really good.
Languages, so they're gonna have a hard time like coordinating without him knowing what they're doing. And so you might want to keep that in mind. He's going to be ready for whatever they plan. And so if they have typical tactics they do, he might be able to anticipate those. Yeah. So that, throw up that wall of zombies where they're going to normally, in between the 2 characters that normally ping things off each other.
And even on a straight up, like, looking at the stats, his armor class is
intelligence?
decently low if he's going to attack 20th level players. So if his armor class is decently low, you want to go with a lot of hit points. So, like, you can...
I mean, he does have 405 hit points, so...
But they're 20th level players, so they're definitely going to hit. They're definitely going to be hitting hard. Like even my 8th level characters are like just wailing on their enemies, and like yeah, so I just dealt 43 points of damage as a level 8, and as a level 8 barbarian, and I'm like, okay, yeah, you're really strong, cool. So we're up in the difficulty. Doesn't help that he has a flaming greatsword, but you know, he found it. It's okay.
Now, but here's the thing: if they get up close enough to hit him with a melee weapon, he's got Finger of Death. I'm assuming Finger of Death is a touch spell.
I think it is.
Oh no, it has a 60-foot range. Never mind. Let's see.
He's also got power word kill,
which apparently is his layer action he can do to people in his place, which is brutal.
Yeah, he has 17th level Chill Touch, which is just way nastier than you think. And,
as a legendary action, he can do that on someone else's turn. Ooh. Oh, don't forget, Chill Touch prevents people from healing. So
stop. Yeesh.
So hit any player that's injured. Hit them with a heal touch, so that the healer can't bring them back up to full health. And again, this is a legendary action, so he can do that at not his turn.
Yeah, he has Dispel Magic that works on magic items. So 20th level characters typically have their favorite magic item.
Dispel Magic.
Boom. Oh. It's like, oh no. So yeah.
He has Time Stop. Whoo, baby.
Oh. Yeah, that's a nasty fight.
Yeah, but you're also assuming they're going to be using Time Stop as well, because they at this point they should have at least a somewhat competent caster. I love that also one of his legendary actions is you can also hit someone with your whip.
Yeah, just do that. When a character has a plus 19 to hit, that's going to be basically every single hit is going to be a hit.
Oh man, do you see the Creeping Death? If they're in the circle. Oh, it's just if you're in the circle, you're vulnerable to necromantic damage. Oh, that's awesome.
Gosh.
Poison. The wand does 2d12. It's not a lot of necrotic damage, but at the same time,
if they're vulnerable to it, and you hit them with Finger of Death.
Oh yeah, because you got spells that are doing. Oh.
Yep.
Oh yeah, and Chill Touch. Chill Touch is necrotic because it's not. It's the most confusing spell ever. Chill Touch is a ranged necrotic spell. Yeah.
And at 17th level does 48 damage as a cantrip. So
48, and they are vulnerable, so they're gonna double the damage. This guy is awesome. Well, I mean they're level 20, so he better be a challenge.
He should be awesome.
Your mage equals all damage. All right. Yeah. So then that's the one he's probably gonna focus on.
Yeah.
Especially if you like going for range, this guy can do range too. So, or that's the other thing. Keep in mind that if one of his weaknesses would be range, he would keep it a little more close quarters in his combat. Like take him to a place where they can't utilize that range, or there's things they don't want to blow up to stop that fireball from going off, or whatever it is the spell they like to use. Yep. You might want to have something that needs to be protected. Like that's what'll throw the city shifting. If they start blowing up some magical levers and stuff with their area.
Collateral damage makes the city shift? Mm-hmm. Words are hard.
Yeah, exactly. Well, especially if you are 20th level characters, you should be really powerful to do that. Yeah. It's not just Orcus who could do it. You could accidentally say, like, oh, as your mage, you just accidentally warped the rest of the city.
Yeah. Oh, the other thing to remember is, again, grappling is a thing. Also, shove is an action that I feel like is underutilized. It takes half of someone's movement to stand up, and all melee attacks against a prone character have advantage. So if he's got a bunch of just minion undead, sure, they might have a hard time hurting him. Oh, wow, this is the climax of that is awesome. I'm really excited to see how this... You need to... Well, you don't need to. I would love it if you were to tell us more about how this fight went down. I assume it'll take multiple sessions to do because it's big and nasty.
It's the big bad end of 4-year campaign.
Also, the other thing to remember is simple, like, mundane stuff. I have a fighter that I've basically every piece of mundane equipment, like alchemical equipment, he's grabbed and uses on a regular basis. The floor is lava is still something you have to worry about. If you make the whole ground just on fire, he's immune to fire. Some of them may not be. Take a d6 fire damage every turn because literally the ground is on fire. What are you going to do with that? And that can be as simple as just he took the time to just grease up his floor.
Yeah.
So I'm actually I'm doing a very high level fight like this. I think would be very interesting.
Yeah.
I have a wizard that my Wednesday group is about to try and fight. Greater invisibility is nasty. There's a lot of spells that require that you be able to see things. So target creature you can see is a sentence that's used a lot in spells. We have Alex in here.
Sorry,
twice.
everybody. My internet just went out.
Oh.
Because
Alright.
how hardcore it's raining here. Oh, my
really?
goodness. Yeah, it's raining real bad.
I'm deep inside a building, so I'm not sure about the internet.
Not a problem.
Well, thanks for
let's see.
asking, Eric. That was a nice little diversion. It was kind of fun to talk about that. But yeah, I hope it all goes well.
Yeah, and again, we'd love to hear about it. So please feel free to hop in the Discord, share your stories of awesomeness. We love talking D&D. We love hearing about your specific stories. It's always fun to sort of dive into this because I don't get to use the really high CR monsters very often. So it's really fun to have a look at those and kind of see what kind of very powerful stuff they do. So yeah, I think next week we're talking Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. Keep an eye out on Facebook and Twitch because I'm going to be looking into doing a little bit more sort of more content there. I'd love to talk more community stuff, stuff that's going on. I would love to also look into getting Board and Alone set up, which is where I play board games that are solo board games. Kind of go through how to play them. If you're there and you're talking, I will let you help me decide what I'm doing. And then yeah, of course we've got on Fridays at 5:45. We have the Zulu Shopping Network. Also, excuse me. Any of these videos that we have put on Facebook will continue to be recorded on Facebook. I will be putting up videos onto YouTube today, so expect to see some links about that. Do you guys have anything else as sort of our parting tidbits?
Have fun.
Nice.
And once again, if you guys have questions, feel free to talk to us in the chat about what we're talking about or other D&D related things. That'd be great.
Yeah.
But yeah, right now we're gonna head out.
Yeah, and I'm
Stay
going to
safe out
figure
there.
out about my power.
Yeah. Worst case
make
scenario,
sure
you can come
everyone's-
in, and we
Yeah.
your room's available.
So I'll be there.
Right.
All right.
Stay
I
safe,
will
everyone
be
out there.
logging off.
Have fun, and yeah, bye.